Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to give you another WWE RAW review. So tonight we're reviewing WWE RAW for March 10th, 2014, and I have to say, pretty chill show tonight. So let's get into this review. So the first thing that they kick us off with is the immortal Hulk Hogan, who comes to the ring and basically just doing his thing, hyping up the WWE Network, and just talking about how much he's happy to be back on Raw, back in WWE, and just doing his whole spiel and stuff like that. He goes on to talk about the thing that he thought of setting up, or the thing that they told him to say he thought of for setting up for the WWE WrestleMania 30, and it is a 30-man battle royal, a 30-man battle royal for, which is basically a memorial 30-man battle royal for Andre the Giant. So had to get that out. So a 30-man memorial battle royal for Andre the Giant, and basically he's saying, he's thinking about all the things that him and Andre did and the whole match that they had at WrestleMania, and then just how the prestige of Andre the Giant himself. And so they set up a match which is basically 30-man fighting in the ring, battle royal all at once, and you get to win a Andre the Giant trophy if you win. So as far as his promo goes at the beginning, I thought it was okay. Hulk Hogan does what Hulk Hogan does, but as far as this match itself, at first I was like, it's just a battle royal, and they're not really winning anything but a trophy. But when you think about it, it's up to the wrestlers to make this special, to make this something, big, and whoever wins this, or any of the guys that are in this match, if they can take this right here and make it actually special, then, they got something here, and hopefully any of these wrestlers can actually do that. So next you got John Cena, who comes out to the ring, and he basically hypes up Hulk Hogan himself, talking about all the things that happened, and says that he wants to enter himself into that battle royal. And he basically does all that. So after that, you get Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, who comes out, and Bray Wyatt basically goes and talks shit about both John Cena and Hulk Hogan, and he's talking about how Hulk Hogan looks to be immortal, and how John Cena is this big bad guy and stuff like that, and hustle, loyalty, respect, and eat your vitamins and stuff like that, and drink your milk. And he says that you take these little people and you want them to hope, but hope is dead. So just another very good promo by Bray Wyatt, and I just love anytime that this guy is on the stage doing his work. So you get John Cena, who tries to come back and retort at Bray Wyatt, and he does a pretty chill promo here, just basically coming out and saying, all the things that about Bray Wyatt, saying that, he looks like a bum and stuff like that. Just basically ribbing on him and on his look, and he starts singing. I think it was a country western song, not country western, but like a country rock song or something like that. I think it was like Elvis or something he may have been singing. I don't know what the song was, but he was doing basically that and just ribbing on Bray Wyatt, which I thought was okay for what, basic Cena stuff. So after that, you get the other two members of the Wyatt family, who go up to the ring and look like they're going to attack Cena and Hogan, and it was kind of making me wonder, oh shit, is Hogan actually going to fight here and shit? So you get them that come up to the ring, and they basically was just set up for the match with Eric Rowan and John Cena, who went and had a okay physical match. Eric Rowan basically was the main aggressor in this match, had most of the offense. John Cena had a little bit of offense here and there. A pretty quick match in itself, and it basically, ended with John Cena in a roll-up and pinning Eric Rowan. And it kind of makes me want to see John Cena versus Luke Harper, because Eric Rowan is more of just a powerhouse guy, kind of similar to like a lesser Ryback type guy, who is just going to do a bunch of power moves but doesn't have that technique in him to actually make a match really great. So he's more of a guy that you would have to not so much carry, but he needs a guy that can really call a match and really make something look good with him. So yeah, but I think he is a guy that if you make him look good, he can look good. So the Wyatt family basically ends up going to look like they're going to attack Cena, but they back off, and you get Hulk Hogan and John Cena, who basically pose and get in there to enjoy the crowd and stuff like that. So after that, you get Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, who come out, and they basically are here just saying Daniel Bryan needs to apologize for what he did. We're going to apologize to him in the WWE Universe for Triple H kicking him in the face, but Daniel Bryan needs to apologize, and he needs to understand that either he does this or he gets fired. And she basically goes on and rips Daniel Bryan, saying, he's all the A, B+ player, and he has a niche following, and he's nothing compared to Triple H. Triple H will destroy him. He's nothing compared to Triple H as far as height. Just a gay shit, just talking shit about him. And I really like Stephanie here. She's just an asshole, It's something that a lot of people was like, oh, Dixie Carter's starting to get better. No, she's nowhere near as good as Stephanie is. I mean, as much as I say Dixie Carter is getting better at her promos and she's not as horrible as she used to be, she cannot touch what Stephanie McMahon does on the mic. And, Stephanie's not the greatest of promo girls and, can actually cut a promo, but she knows how to do the one thing she knows how to do, and that is be the asshole heel bitch. So, she does that very well. And this is basically just setting up for the New Age for the next tag team match, which was the Usos versus the Rybackso, and you had the New Age Outlaws who came out before that and was sitting on commentary. Now, this next match, Usos versus Rybackso, was it just another general okay match here? It's kind of making me mad in a little ways because these guys are just the Usos right now aren't having blowout matches, but it's more along the lines because of their competition, and it's not really anything I can see that's their problem. It's more just that the level of competition that was in the WWE as far as they goes during last year, the end of last year, was just top notch as far as all the tag teams that they had to go against, and now it's just a few of them, and even the good tag teams like the Shield and who else? The Shield, the Wyatts, and the Rhodes brothers are, for as far as the Shields and the Wyatts goes, are in other feuds, so they can't really go for these belts for right now. And the Rhodes brothers, they're kind of holding them off between them and the Usos since they're both general faces. But we got an okay match here with Rybackso, and the Usos end up coming up with the super kicks and the great Samoa splash and a win. So yeah, your tag team champions, still tag team champions, get the win and going on. So the next match we get is Jack Swagger of the Real Americans versus your Intercontinental Champion Biggie Langston, and they have an okay, quick physical match. The main point of this match came when Jack Swagger basically distracted the ref from Big E and stuff like that, and he wanted Cesaro to attack Big E while the ref is back his turn, but Cesaro just laughed it off and said, "No, I'm not going to do that because you were saying you don't need my help, so do it on your own." And Swagger got mad about that and ended up getting rolled up for a pin. So you get Swagger, who's just pissed off, and I love this look on Cesaro's face here. He was just laughing his ass off the whole time. That dude is just an asshole. I love this guy. And, just their argument back and forth. Zeb Coates is just pissed off here and tells them to shake hands, and Cesaro basically ends up squeezing the shit out of Jack Swagger's hand. And just just another not great but pretty good piece of storytelling here and way of breaking these two guys up. And at first, I'm kind of like, oh, Cesaro and Swagger are really good as a tag team, but as Swagger is holding Cesaro back right now. As I think Cesaro and Zeb Coates are really good together, but with Swagger in the picture, it's just not as good as it could be. If it was somebody else who was better on the mic and could be a better match with Cesaro, as not only as in ring but other places, then this would be a really great team. But I thought this was a pretty good match and a pretty good after segment with these guys, and a nice way to continue on the storyline. So next you get Undertaker, who comes out to a big pop from the crowd, and oh shit, let me see. So you get Undertaker, who comes out to a big pop from the crowd. My pictures are kind of mixed up here, and he comes out and he's getting ready to do his big talk. But before he can do anything, you get Paul Heyman, who comes out and basically says to him, nobody's done what you've done. Your streak is crazy good, and there is no other guy that has been where you're at, and you're a badass dude. But he also says that Brock Lesnar is going to defeat that and fuck you up. So, he's basically telling Undertaker, don't have this match. Brock Lesnar will fuck you up. But Undertaker looks at him and says, you know what? Fuck Brock Lesnar, basically, and tell Brock Lesnar this, you can be, what do you say, something about, you can be this type of man and unseen, and you can be feared or something like that. But he basically tells him rest in peace. So he does his eyes rolling back. And it was a pretty okay promo for The Undertaker. He really didn't say nothing. I kind of think they spent a little bit too much time with Paul Heyman's promo here, even though it was really good. And I really like both dudes. Just the ambiance of The Undertaker was just all we needed, and his little words were all we needed. But I think Paul Heyman's promo went on a little bit too long, and it kind of just made it to what Undertaker was saying was kind of like, oh my god, can we get this over with? But Paul Heyman did a really good job of just saying his promo. I think they just kind of filled time with it a little bit too much there. So after that, we get Goldust and Cody Rhodes versus The Shield. And before this, you had The Shield, who was backstage with Kane, and Kane was basically telling the Shield that they need to step up, and ever since they've been having problems, and ever since they lost the two of them, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns lost their title, the Shield has been going on a downward spiral, and now they look like they're going to break up. So he was telling them that that you need to step up, and I'm going to put you two in a match against the Rose Brothers, the guys that beat you for your titles, to see if you still got it. And I like the way that the Shield also replied by saying to Kane, you've been fucking up as well, so you really don't have a right to say shit to us. And how I like at the end, Roman Reigns looks like the tough guy and says, I'll still take down a demon no matter what, type of thing. So I thought it was a pretty good promo from them guys. So what you get right here is a good match with the Rhodes Brothers. The Rhodes Brothers versus the Shield. And I thought that, just a normal match between them two. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. And it was a pretty solid match with these guys. They did exactly what they needed to do, and they went out there and worked hard. And it came out to a pretty chill match there. You end up getting Seth Rollins, who ends up stomping the head, doing his curve stomp, or like I like to call it, the American History X. And curve stomping, what's the boy's name? Cody Rhodes into the ground and ends up picking up the win. So yeah, it was a pretty chill match. If I can find my place, it was a pretty chill match for them guys, and they end up getting a win. And just another way to show that they still have their camaraderie after SmackDown. So next you get Natalya, who's on commentary, and the match is the Bella Twins versus AJ Lee and Tamina. And this is kind of where the show is going a little bit downhill for me. These girls had an okay match here. They got an okay amount of time, and you had a really good you had a really good super kick from Tamina onto Brie Bella that I thought was pretty chill, and she looked like she took that very well. And you had even AJ Lee, who looks really hot, just standing there just laughing at her. And, it's just an okay kind of mediocre tag team divas match. And the only thing I can say about this is that they're still making AJ Lee look very weak compared to these other girls. And it's like, she has to not really do any type of moves with these girls because, they just don't take them very well. The only person who she really looked strong against lately was either Naomi or Natalya, which kind of makes me hopeful for their match that they may have tomorrow night on Main Event. But as far as this match goes, Nikki Bella ends up getting her own torture rack, or whatever you call it, on her torture rack slam, or whatever, torture rack drop, or whatever you want to call the move, onto AJ Lee, and ends up picking up a win. And she stands with the belt, and her and Natalya have a kind of a face off against each other, which I don't know, man. I really don't want to see a feud between the Bellas and Natalya, unless you can get Natalya to be a very good heel here or something like that. But yeah, it just kind of pissed me off that AJ Lee took another loss on the show and stuff like that, and just it's like, man, your Divas champion is not looking strong here at all. So it is what it is. But next you get LL Cool J and Chris O'Donnell, who's having some type of TV show that they're on. I think it's one of those procedural cop shows, and they basically talk to them. You have LL Cool J, who does this little sexy black dude thing. So it was just funny seeing LL Cool J talk on a Raw, and just hilarious to me. So I just had a good laugh from this. So after that, you get Daniel Bryan, who comes to the ring, and he basically talks about how he's not apologizing to Triple H and to the Authority, and he's just basically saying, fuck them, and I want what I want. I want a match with Triple H, and if I don't get what I want, I'm going to hijack the show. So that's basically what he was saying, and it looked kind of cheesy at first when he said that he was going to hijack the show and occupy Raw. At first when I saw this, I was like, man, this looks very cheesy, and it looks like it's just gonna have these few guys sitting in the ring, these goofballs in the ring, and I was like, man, this looks whack. So they went to commercial break. When they came back for commercial break, and you saw how many actually people they got in that ring and on the ring side, I was like, okay, this is awesome. This is badass. And just having all those people there with the Daniel Bryan shirts on, and all of them chanting yes and stuff like that, and just the way that they filled up not only the ring but the outside of the ring, it had to be at least almost, what I would say, about 60 people on that outside of the ring, probably even more. And that was just an awesome sight. And just having Daniel Bryan cut his promo right there and just say, yes, I'm not going anywhere, and all these guys and just people taking pictures of him while they're in the ring and, hugging him and stuff like that. It's just an awesome sight right here. And I really like how they kind of turned this whole, people that yes movement thing that the internet crowd started back to a storyline there for Daniel Bryan. So, this was really good. So you get all these guys, and you get a good picture. Triple H, who comes out, he basically says, you know what, you had your fun, now leave. I give you 30 seconds to leave. And the great thing about this is that just the look on the whole crowd and stuff like that, and just the way that they played this up. I mean, it was just very well done. And if I have another picture here. But yeah, it's just a great way that they played this up, and I just love. Oh, here it is. I just love that, just the way that the game and all these guys were just doing this and stuff like that, and they played up a very good heelish thing right here with Triple H and them telling them, you know what, get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna call security, and then when they do call security, you get these two bald head guys who come out there and basically are just saying, I guess, okay, guys, you gotta leave. Okay, no. Well, they won't leave. It reminded me of, what's those old wrestlers' names that used to be with Vince McMahon? But those two guys, they remind me of them too, just like these bumbling idiots. And you get Stephanie McMahon who's just yelling at them, motherfuckers, get them to leave. And so after that, you get Triple H who goes and basically tells them, you know what, leave. I'm serious, leave. And he's trying to go back and forth with Daniel Bryan. It doesn't work, so he says, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to call out the next guy, and we're going to have fuck it, let's keep the show going and let's have a match. So they call out Damian Sandow. Sandow walks up. He can't get through, so he says, fuck it, I'm not even going to work with this. Triple H goes and talks to him. Stephanie gets pissed off, tries to talk to him, and it just doesn't work. And the way she just gets mad and just angry and riled up and starts yelling and stuff was just awesome. And, she was just pissed the fuck off here, and I really like this. So you get Daniel Bryan, who makes an ultimatum and tells Triple H, either you give me my match that I want at WrestleMania, or, are you basically, we're not going to leave here and we're going to take over Raw. And I love how he asked the whole thing of, okay, you know what, you won't give me my match? How about this? I take the whole crowd, the whole arena, and all the guys here. We go set up a ring outside, and we have our Raw outside. And, just basically showing his whole, who he is as this indie guy, as this, just what they've been calling him for, like last week, a fan, but also a wrestler, somebody who loves the audience and knows the audience, and, just playing him as that type of guy, and, just putting that in the ring and putting that into this character. I thought it was done very well here. So you get Triple H, who gets pissed off and say, you know what, you got your match. and I'm going to give you everything you want right there, and just go. So Daniel Bryan takes this as, you know what? Okay, I want more. I want not only that, my match at WrestleMania against you, but if I win, I get to get into the main event against Randy Orton and Batista for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And Triple H blows up and says, you know what, fuck it, you got it. And I think he even curses at this point. So it was just a very good segment right here. And Daniel Bryan and the whole crowd chants and stuff like that. It was just a very good segment. And something I thought was going to be kind of cheesy and whack turned out to be pretty awesome. So I went on a little bit long about that. So next you get Jerry Lawler, the King, who comes out and talks about the app vote that they had going on tonight for the Sheamus and Christian match, and the crowd chose, I forget what the other two choices, I think they were Falls Count Anywhere and something else, but they ended up choosing a Memphis Street Fight, which is basically you have a gang of rock instruments outside, like guitars and drums and shit like that, and you can just use any type of weapons. So the match itself, I thought, was pretty solid, you know. It was one of the better Christian and Sheamus matches. It's pretty as good as the first one that they had during this feud. And, you know, they used the weapons. I thought towards the middle, they started using the weapons. At first, I was like, okay, you know, they need to do something here. They kind of avoiding the weapons, like they were just walking past them and not using them. And it was kind of like, I'm like, hey, let's hurry this up. Let's start making this fun. So once they got to using the weapons and stuff like that, it started getting fun, and, you know, just everything they doing and stuff like that. They even took it up the ramp and everything, so that was pretty chill. And, you know, just the one thing I love about these type of matches, and I love about when Sheamus gets into these type of matches, is that dude bruises up. He was being hit with kendo sticks and stuff like that, and his back bruises up. So it's just the extra feeling of realism that they have to this, and I just love how it looks when Sheamus fights. But you end up getting the kendo sticks and all that stuff, and chairs, and just these two just putting in a really pretty chill match here. And you end up getting Christian, who gets kicked through a drum, and Sheamus basically puts his foot through the drum and through Christian's head, which was a very good way to end this match, and Sheamus ends up picking up the win, and another loss for Christian. And it makes me interested in what they're going to do with him now that he lost another match to Sheamus. Only thing he's won since he's been back is probably that match with what's his name, Dolph Ziggler last week, and probably a couple other matches, but other than that, he's basically lost to Sheamus every time. So it kind of makes me wonder what they're going to do to continue this. I hope it's not another match with Sheamus, but wherever it goes. So after that, you get, what's this chick's name? Liana or something like that, who comes out and she basically introduces her wrestler. Hold on one second. I got to remember these people's names. I still don't remember their names. So give me a second here. And Rusev. So she introduces Rusev, Alexander Rusev, and they've been doing the same thing that they've done for the past couple of weeks. And you get him who stands on that podium, on that little stage, and says his name and stuff like that. And I gotta say, she looks hot, dude. So, you know, hopefully he's not another Kozlov or anything like that, and he's actually, you know, really good here. I've seen him on NXT a few times, so hopefully, you know, he's able to carry this character well. So after that, you get the Bray Wyatt and Wyatt family, who goes on the screen and cut a promo, and they're basically talking about, you know, okay, all the bullshit that's going down with John Cena, and how they basically accept John Cena's match. And you get Bray Wyatt, who ends up singing his "Time is on my side." So I love every time that dude sings that on NXT. But you get him basically cuts another very nice promo here and accept John Cena's match for WrestleMania. So I think it's like 4 matches already made for WrestleMania now. So yeah, that's pretty good on WWE's part. They already got matches set up now, unlike last year. So after that, you get your main event, which was Big Show and Daniel Bryan versus Batista and Randy Orton. So a pretty okay match here. Batista is starting to get a little bit better, and you can tell he's getting back into his flow here, but the match was still slow, and Big Show, he wasn't getting as much crowd pop as he should have. And saying that, the crowd wasn't really that great tonight either. Even during Daniel Bryan's big segment, they weren't popping as much as they should have. They could have made that look way better. But like I said, it was a pretty okay match here. Big Show looked good here, and Randy Orton looked okay. Well, Big Show looked okay here, and Randy Orton looked good. And I love the way Randy Orton takes Daniel Bryan's yes lock here. He does it. One of the best guys to take it. He looks so crazy when he's having that lock put on him. So you get Big Show, who ends up eating the RKO from Randy Orton. Randy Orton is getting ready to get speared by Batista, but Randy Orton ends up taking a spear. Daniel Bryan hits Batista with the knee plus, and then gets messed up on a move of his, and then ends up hitting Randy Orton with the knee plus and getting the win. Which, like I said, an okay match here, but not too much to it. And you get Daniel Bryan, who stands out there with the win. So, as far as this show goes, I thought it was pretty okay. You had a few of the big spots, which was the whole Daniel Bryan versus Triple H stuff, and his whole segment I thought was very good. I thought the opening segment was pretty good with Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and the Wyatt family. The few matches in there, like the end match and the Christian versus Sheamus match, was pretty chill, and a couple other matches were okay, and I don't think nothing was necessarily bad in this show. So as far as my rating goes, I would give it a B-. I thought that everything was average to actually really good. So average, good, and really good at a couple of parts. But like, comment, subscribe. I've seen a lot of people. I got a crazy amount of views last week, and I see a lot of people are watching. So if you're watching, like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you want. I really don't care. But if you want to comment on there, I'll talk to you. I'll comment back. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.